Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm pleased to be joined by Philippe Kahn, CEO of Full Power AI. How are you today, Philippe?
I'm great. I'm great. Nice weather here on the West Coast, so we're happy and thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's jump into the interview. And I think, again, you have a really remarkably storied background, Philippe. And if you just share a few details with our audience, because I think you're somewhat unique in sort of the audience here that I've been interviewing.
Well, I'm not sure, nobody's unique, but one thing at a time. So I'm an immigrant, although you can't hear it from my accent a lot, but I'm an immigrant from France.
Oh,
Uh, my background is as a mathematician and a scientist and an engineer, and I came to Silicon Valley to find some work, and actually I did. And because I didn't have the opportunity initially to have a work permit, I created essentially my first business. And because I'm trained in technology, I was able to build tools and programming tools, et cetera, and assemble a team to create a first successful business. All my business has been built essentially on retained earnings. So I never went through the process of formally raising venture capital, although I have good relationships with the venture capital community. And this is my fourth successful company. I've done a few IPOs and a few successful high value exits, but that was never my focus. My focus has always been on software craftsmanship, on technology, building great solutions that fitted in a nascent market. And this is what I'm doing today in biosensing and healthcare longevity with full power AI.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, just tell us a little bit more about Full Power and what your focus is. And
So our focus at in full power is to practically use AI in the world of biosensing, and the areas of focus for us uh, at this point are sleep, longevity, and and wellness, and apply really um, what we've all learned about machine learning over the years, and we've been doing this for 15 years, to actually crafting better solutions to solve problems like, how do we help people sleep better? How do we help people live longer? How do we help people be more productive through wellness?
can you just give some examples, Philippe, of the different use cases or products that you've brought to market and how they're used?
So for us, one of our early customers and good customers is a company called Tempur-Pedic.
Hmm.
And Tempur-Pedic is the leader in bedding, and our focus has been to use our science-based and biosensing approach to help them create the next generation of bed. So the vision is that there's a paradigm shift from bed to smart bed, like there was a paradigm shift from phone to smartphone. And and so the idea there is that we can help people sleep better by creating a better bed. And in order to do that, we need to understand what sleep is. And sleep is this great, mysterious, deep ocean that we, over the years, have started to understand better. There is a uh, gold standard from a sleep science perspective called polysomnography, which you may have, or some of your readers have might experience, which is you go in a sleep lab, you get
Yeah,
wired up,
done that. Yeah.
and you do a complete analysis of your sleep and tell you what's right and what's wrong. And and that's kind of what people call that the ground truth for quality of sleep, or the gold standard. But the idea is that that's very invasive. That happens only once in one night, and it's a night in an unfamiliar bed in a fairly hostile environment. And so the idea is to bring that science into the bedroom in day-to-day usage, completely non-invasively, contactless, and help people understand their sleep and use AI to help them sleep better. And that's, a great use case for our solution. Our other Another area of um, interest that we're working on is longevity and how can we help people with longevity when it's a very difficult world to tackle because how do you measure longevity? I mean, that's a big challenge. A lot of people are talking about longevity, take MMN supplements or whatever it is, take some metformin and all that. But how do we know it really works? Because we have to do studies over 40 years of
Right.
people and double-blind studies, but no one's done that really and see, how and so what our approach has been to look at the life of and the modalities of people who have longevity, people who don't have longevity, and we're doing a lot of these studies ourselves, and try to understand, what it is that is harmless, that can do no harm, because the supplements that eventually people are finding out that do harm, or lifestyles that do no harm, and how can we help with that? So that's a very fascinating thing. I mean, I'm interested in it
Sure,
myself.
sure.
You know, I don't really want to live longer. I want health span, not lifespan. I don't want to
Yeah,
live a long time with tubes and,
sure, sure.
uh, but I do want to, I do want health span. And so we're looking at all that. And what's really interesting is that our foundation work initially had started on sleep and sleep science. And sleep is such an important part of health span and lifespan that we found these deep correlations
Hmm.
in how people sleep and how they perform and their their ability to live a longer, healthier life. It's very interesting. So it's almost like there are a few things that, in terms of use cases, that we find is that improving sleep is really, really important.
Yep,
I think everybody understands that moving is very important, and the older you get, the more moving becomes important. And I'm not talking about working out. I'm talking about moving.
yep,
And and thirdly, your brain. I mean, what you do, your ability to learn and continue learning and et
yeah.
cetera. So we're finding, through our biosensing platform and all that, we're finding that there are a lot of correlations, and it's very exciting.
So when you talk about biosensing, do the sensors go like on the mattress? Are they on the person? How does that sort of manifest itself?
Okay, so what we found is that the ideal form of sensing is really contactless and non-invasive, do not have to recharge, et cetera, et cetera. If you rely on people wearing sensors and recharging batteries and all that, it works, obviously. But what we built, for example, in the case of sleep, is completely a contactless platform that goes not on the mattress, but under the mattress and calibrates itself to any mattress. It's not just, you have to have the special kind of mattress or whatever it is. And it goes under the mattress, so it's invisible. So if you remake your bed every day, you don't
Wow.
disrupt the sensors because there's people who put sensors, on top of the mattress, but then every time you make your bed, it's an issue. And or every time you spill coffee or something
Yep,
like it,
yep.
becomes an issue. So we have we have people who've been using the system for 7 years every day, and it's been working all the time, and it's invisible, and they're amazed at the length of the data we have, and that's really something is really important, and 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 that AI is really powerful at doing. So imagine that everybody ultimately has one day a health event.
Yep.
Imagine you have a health event someday and you're wondering, was there a signpost 6 months before
Yeah.
and things changing in small little pieces? Is
Interesting.
there a retrospective way to do it? Well, the only way you're going to be able to look at that is you have a consistent, reliable, high fidelity way to look back. Well, we're not going to look back at, 5 million hours of sleep to see if something happened in your heart rate and your respiration rate over time and they were changing. But AI is great at doing that. AI data science, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the core of our system is the ability to look at retrospectively a thing. And so you look at 20 people, 50, 100, 1,000, and you find that, people who have had a stroke or a heart event and something, and you look at them, and then you have enough of those to say, aha, looking at all these guys retrospectively, we can actually make some kind of a prediction. And then this becomes something really helpful to the whole community because then as you see those changes happen to someone, you say, haha, this may be a signpost of that person developing this condition, and maybe we can address that. So that's the smart way of using AI. Besides, the trivial things that everybody, enterprise AI, everybody,
Yeah.
and I'm going to help you write a better email and all. This is actually what we believe AI does to help people and help people be a little more healthy every day and solve some really what we call all precision medicine because that's
Yeah.
become really an accurate way to predict. And AI is all about predictions, right?
Right. Right. Is it regulated what you're doing, Philippe?
So we do regulating work, but we we do not have a FDA cleared way to predict something like that. Today, we do not have that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I think I've seen like some Tempur-Pedic, like the commercials where I think it can sense like your body heat and it can then adjust the temperature of the bed. Is that part of your platform?
Yeah, our platform does all that. We
Yeah.
we do the technology, and Tempur-Pedic purposely doesn't want to be regulated because they
Yeah.
want to be a consumer device. They don't
Sure.
want to maintain FDA clearances, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. They
Yeah.
want so that work is non-regulated, but it's perfectly fine. I mean, understanding your sleep and doing that is not diagnosing it. We're not diagnosing anything.
Yeah.
We're helping people sleep better. So,
Right.
for example, if we see breathing disturbances like snoring or something like that, we'll adjust the
Yeah.
geometry of the bed because simple studies show that if you elevate the upper body of someone that snores, they snore less. So that's but nobody can do it automatically in the middle of the night unless the so-called AI does
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and measures in real time. Aha, there's snores there. Okay, I can incline 10 degrees this thing up for about 20 minutes and then put it back down. And the data shows that it improves and improves by minimizing snore.
Yeah.
And the same
Fascinating.
thing is true for temperature in the middle of the night, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera.
What about from a commercialization standpoint? How do you, I mean, obviously you have such a, rich storied background. How do you, in your mind, sort through different ideas and maybe prioritize the ones that you really want to pursue? Because it seems like with AI, there's so much that's possible, but I guess the question would be, what really, where should you place your time, right?
Well, I'm personally and my team, a great team, we're personally very practical people.
Yep.
We start from a practical standpoint. How can we say, in the case of sleep, how can we improve people's sleep? And we all sleep, so that's an experience that we have. And then we say, well, what's the next big frontier? So you can look at different sites as well. For example, is a challenge as people get older that they tend to have fragmented sleep, like go to the bathroom 3 times a night
Hmm.
versus times a night or whatever it is. Uh, is that something we can address or not? That's an example of a problem, difficult problem to
Yep.
solve, and not obvious, but an interesting problem. Another one is to say, from people's sleep, can I rationally create a performance prediction index, basically a an index that helps people when they get up to say, hey, today you might want to take it easy because I see that you've had a lot of REM sleep, but maybe not enough deep sleep, which
Yep.
is, physical recovery sleep. Or the other one says, hey, today should be a great day because you're fully recovered. So this is a day where you're gonna want to, beat your personal record or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
So you look at questions like that, how can you answer questions for people? That's how we look at it. And what is it that we can do from a science perspective, not from the belief standpoint,
Yep.
from science, we're scientists, right? Uh, what is it that's rational that can be focused on ground truth, what we call ground truth, um, and that can help. And so we look at those and look at it from a business model standpoint, which I think is part of your question. We look at we don't do products. We build a platform and we license a platform. We
Mm.
partner with customers that will take these platforms to market.
Yep.
So, for example, we're interested in the COPD market in healthcare, right? So instead of us going after the COPD market, we built up our platform for COPD from a technology perspective, but work with Jack Poe at Ansible Health, and they focus on the deployment and the marketing in the COPD market. That's a good example.
Right. Right.
So our business model is a B2B business model.
Yep.
License our technology. We run a platform. In the case of Jack, we run our platform as a service. But he takes it to the insurers. He takes it to all those places.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Wow. I mean, it's just really fascinating what you're doing. Where do you see the future, Philippe? What are the next 2 to 3 years look like? Things are evolving quickly.
Well, things are evolving quickly, but not that quickly in healthcare.
Yep.
Yes, of course, using AI to diagnose things and to actually have a huge knowledge base, uh, that's very difficult for a single specialist or practitioner to have is great. But
Yep.
that's not the business we're in. In the business we're in, it's it's for us, it's just to apply what we have to better to a broader world. Continue to improve people's sleep. There is about 8 billion people, I think, or maybe more now on the planet. Every one of those humans sleeps.
Yep.
Sleep is a third of people's life, 8 hours out of 24 hours. People spend a lot of money buying a car that they might use an hour a day,
Yep.
and they don't spend the money on their bed, which they spend 8 hours a day on. And
Interesting.
especially when they have a partner, sometimes their sleep disrupts their partner's sleep, etc. There's a lot that's there and a lot we can help with by becoming the sleep science, the sleep company, basically.
Right. Right.
And that's really important. There's a massive paradigm shift. And for us, the paradigm shift to sleep and how it applies to longevity, et cetera. And of course, from a day-to-day perspective, our patents, we just had another sleep patent issued. We have more sleep patents coming out from our technology and what we do. So we're very excited about that. And we're specialty in biosensing and AI-powered biosensing is paying off in that respect.
Sure. Sure. So just kind of in closing here, what advice, maybe two or three pearls of wisdom, would you share with an AI healthcare founder?
That's really a good question. The first thing I would say is there is something as clearly important is that wanting to be a founder and wanting to be in AI is not a good enough reason to build a company. I think you got to start with a vision, something that solves a real time, real world problem. Something, when I mean by real time, something that is contemporary and that really adds value. I think that there's so much clutter in the world of AI right now that there's so many people who have Me Too solutions that I would be very, very cautious in making sure that what you have is real and differentiated because, you know, I see a lot of people who think that by doing a bit of machine learning and doing a bit of LLMs and doing a bit of something else, they're going to have an extraordinary product. But there are millions of these people
Yeah,
doing that, and it's a very cluttered world. So one of the reasons we're very happy with what we do is we're focusing on science and
yeah,
science. Uh, the idea of being successful with AI is until now it's been, kind of building stuff like LLMs and diagnosis thing, and which is great. But I think that AI needs to sense the world, have an idea of what the world does and interact with the world. That's what we do with biosensing. That's why
right,
we lead with biosensing. AI for the sake of AI is extremely cluttered right now.
right,
And so I would recommend to people to really think about what problem they're really solving and what's the differentiation and not worry as much as being an entrepreneur or an AI person, but what are we trying to do?
yeah,
How can I add value to all these people who are doing things? And I think, there's a lot of people who think this as a gold mine. I always tell people if your goal is to have a gold mine, then go to Zambia or something like that and start digging.
yeah,
In our business, we're a science biz
right,
world. At least that's how I feel about it.
right,
If you would ask me right now, build an LLM uh, company, I'd say, there's so many people doing that kind of stuff,
yeah,
RAG and doing all these things, or uh, uh, that you don't know where to get started. But if you start from a problem, oh, what I'm looking at is, I want to do precision medicine for helping uh, dogs avoid, I don't know, something like a kennel cough. I'm just
sure, yeah, yeah,
then I'm looking at a problem and I said, okay, I'm going to try to use AI to do that and machine learning and try to, but I think that makes sense to me. Um, and then there's an opportunity. And I think that's this idea of practical AI that makes a difference. And of course, I don't want to diminish the value of AI to do diagnosis and use in medicine, but I think AI to use to be uh, to build better brain surgery or better heart transplants or
yeah,
kidney transplants. That's great. I
yeah,
think that there's great opportunities there, massive. It's not easy.
right. Awesome. Well, this has been a great interview, Philippe. Thank you so much for sharing everything, and congratulations on your success. And I wish you, continued.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun, and the interview is great.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.